there's no greater opportunity a human being has than to lead, to be a servant leader. The embodiment of leadership and the opportunity that is afforded to you is a big responsibility. And I don't care if you're leading a Sunday school class, a charitable organization, a Fortune 500 company, or a basketball program. It doesn't matter. You have been entrusted with an incredible opportunity to serve the people that have been entrusted to your care.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is episode number 53 of Coaching Connections. But before we get to the episode, I want to take a brief moment to say thank you so much for your patience and understanding. This is kind of like the off season for the podcast, where we're not going to drop it as often while we're in actual basketball season. Most coaches are in their basketball seasons. But since it's a holiday break, I've had the chance to connect with my guy, Drew Maddux out of Nashville, Tennessee. He is such an inspiration, a very motivating, a very uplifting person. I really think you guys are going to enjoy this episode. And I know you guys see the AFC Richmond shirt on right now. Shout out to the Ted Lasso show. If you coaches have not seen it, I highly recommend that every coach should watch it. It's pretty amazing. It's funny, it's real, it's honest. Kind of bummed that it's not on anymore, but man, what a great show, and very uplifting as well. I have it on repeat constantly, but shout out to the Ted Lasso show, man. Anyway, episode 53, Drew Maddux. Let's get it.
It's called Coaching Connection. It's called Coaching Connection. Coaching Connection.
Coach.
How you doing, Drew?
Hi, Coach. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing really good, man. How you been?
Well, I need to know, most importantly, how did we do at 1 o'clock or 1:30 today?
We won. It was a good game. You know, a lot of history between the two schools, and so it's always good to win in their gym.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been coaching?
So I've been coaching since 2008. But I've been a head coach at the high school I graduated from for the last 11 seasons.
Unreal.
Yeah, so it's awesome. And so John and I were teammates back in high school.
That's amazing.
Right? And so it feels good to be back home, and it feels good to bring other guys that were with us along that journey to come back.
Yeah.
He does a good job of interacting with the kids and coaching them up in the summertime and the fall leagues and stuff, and I think he has a blast with it.
Well, I think it speaks just such a blessing about the environment you've created, because he speaks with such passion of just the acceptance of the former and the present, and just the intersection of all that. It's so beautiful to hear, because that was important to me as a coach, to embrace what was, but what's to come, and how we have this beautiful opportunity to bridge that gap as the leader of the organization. And so kudos to you for making that important and purposeful.
I appreciate it.
Really cool.
I really do appreciate it. And I think the kids and the kids appreciate it. Well, that's good. Tell me a little bit about your journey, your coaching journey and stops along the way.
Yeah. So I played basketball here at Vanderbilt. When I left, I never thought I would be a coach. I wasn't intending to be a coach. And I went into the world of healthcare. Mm-hmm. I was with the healthcare technology company. We took that company public, had a lot of fun. I was really doing well, moving up through the ranks of the corporation to the point where I was very young, but running a big sales organization. I was 26 years old. I was like beyond my wildest imagination of what the responsibility and obligation of what was afforded to me because of the performance and what we had done. And all of that sounds so great, Coach, in that I was winning professionally. I mean, I was winning in every sense of the world, ways that the world would define winning. I was doing well, commission checks, stock options, all the things, all of it winning in terms of the world, but I was losing at home. My wife, my 3 little girls at the time, and since we've adopted 2 boys, so I have 5 kids. And I would leave every Sunday or Monday morning and come back Thursday or even Friday. Some weekends I wouldn't even unpack my suitcase. And I would go back on the road and do it again the next week. And so it just was not a rhythm of life, of work-life integration that I wanted for my family. I did not want to be a spectator in my kid's story. I wanted to be an active participant. Greatest gift my dad ever gave me was his time. He was present. I felt love embodied by him through the way that he existed within my story with me.
I love it.
And I wanted that. We knew our little girl was going to go to a school called Christ Presbyterian Academy here in Nashville. It's just an incredible Christian school here in southern Davidson County, right outside of Nashville. And she was going to start kindergarten there. And so in order for us to get involved in the community, I knew I could coach basketball at a volunteer level just to get involved and to really get to know some of the families. So I volunteered, coached in 05 and 06 middle school basketball team. And they allowed me to change practices to Monday morning at 6 a.m. We practiced on weekends. We changed some of the game times because of my travel schedule. I was still with the healthcare company.
Yep.
But when I tell you, Coach, that year, that group of boys, God really used to change my life. And just it ignited a passion within me that was just so real. And it just energized me. As only fate could write the story, the high school basketball job became open the very next year. And I moved into, left the healthcare organization and stepped in with no experience. I had never led a program. Obviously, I led a large sales organization, but never a high school basketball program. So the school really took a risk on me. Mm-hmm. And 2006, I was named the head boys basketball coach at Christ Pres Academy.
So you totally left the health organization completely.
Yeah, so wow. It's a funny story. So I sat down with one of my mentors, our CEO, and I told him that I was going to resign from my position and go coach high school basketball. And he about choked on his oatmeal that morning and fell out of his chair. He's like, do you not understand what you're leaving? You know, this organization is on a rocket ship of growth, and you're going to be a part of that. In fact, you already have a 5-year vesting schedule of your stock options, and you're never going to see any of that because you're going to leave it on the table. And I said, I know clearly what I'm leaving, but I know profoundly what I'm running to. And it's something I will never, ever, ever regret. And so, you know, we stepped into that program and coach, people know the rest of the story, so you can develop hindsight bias. That program had never had success. They had won one district championship in 1998. Wow. The year before I got there, they won 8 games. The year before that, 6 games. So not historical success. The very first year we got there, just with the cultural enhancements and things that we did to invest in those kids, we went 27-8 our first year. We went 31-4 our second year, and then we were just off and running at that point. It just started to really attract itself, and it became so contagious that it became a big time force, you know, not only on our campus, but in the city of Nashville.
That gets me all kinds of fired up, Drew. That's awesome, man. I love hearing that. You know, and you talk about, you never ran a program, but you run organizations. So how does leadership, just in general, just having those qualities transcend throughout life and different occupations and roles?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's no greater opportunity a human being has than to lead, to be a servant leader. To serve is to lead, and to lead is to serve. And the embodiment of leadership and the opportunity that is afforded to you is a big responsibility. And I don't care if you're leading a Sunday school class, a charitable organization, a Fortune 500 company, or a basketball program. It doesn't matter. You have been entrusted with an incredible opportunity to serve the people that have been entrusted to your care. And what it really starts to create is really what I tried to do within our coaching philosophy and leadership philosophy was 2 things. Was one, really understand vertically that we were a part of something that was bigger than all of us, that there was a cause that's pulling us in a direction, and we need each and every person to be a star in their role and to maximize their full capability and their potential to fulfill that. We are interdependent on each other. And my job is to facilitate that coming to life. And that happens through creating an environment that is communal, that's relational, that is life-giving, that we as human beings perform at the highest level of performance when we are a part of a community of trust, and that we are in relationship with one another. So when I'm pursuing something that's bigger than me, I know I belong, I matter, what I do, it has value, and I'm doing it alongside a group of brothers or a group of people that care deeply for me and I care deeply for, man, it unleashes the power of what can become. And so to be a leader that you get to shape that and mold that and create that, I mean, you do it every day. I mean, what a blessing that is ultimately, that being a leader. I just don't know that there's a higher calling, whether it's, once again, it could be the leader of your house, organization, team, school, whatever it is. It's just an incredible, incredible gift that you're given. And I hate when I see people take it for granted. Mm-hmm. And then I love to see people step into the power of what, a servant leader can be.
Absolutely. And then watching them help mold more leaders and future leaders and a new generation of leaders, I think it's so powerful and impactful, especially when you're working with youth and the kids and that we're working with these days.
To that point, I just admire any coach in the ages that you serve too, because, you really serve two people. Serve the young man or the young lady in front of you, but you also are serving their future self at the same time. Mm-hmm. And what a beautiful gift that is, because my coaching philosophy was built on really trying to close the gap between two gaps that exist in every human being. Number one is the potential gap of who they are today and who they're becoming, and how can I really afford them the opportunity, experiences, activities through accountability and love and grace and truth and all the things for them to ultimately step into the fulfillment of that potential, to maximize that potential. In order that, number two, the other gap that exists is called the impact gap. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately who I am, the recognition of my gifts, my callings, my purpose, my passion. I as a coach have the opportunity to help usher them into their full capability and impact to make the world a better place. Yes, so sir. As I step into the potential, I can unleash my power to make an impact in the world that I was created to make. Being a coach, we have that opportunity because this, Marcus, the original definition of a coach in the 1500s was a transportation device normally drawn by horses, mm-hmm. of somebody of importance from point A to point B. Sure. Well, that's a gap that exists. So what my job was, very important people in my life that I'm entrusted with, help close the gap from point A to point B, potentially, in order to close the gap A to B of their full impact and capability.
I love the visualization that you just drew right there. That was beautiful. Yeah. That was beautiful. Speaking of impact and whatnot, I hear that you do some work overseas. Talk to me a little bit about your work overseas.
Yeah, so big part of the heartbeat of our house is really particularly we felt called to step into the orphan crisis. This goes back many, many years ago, but we fell in love with kids that had been abandoned, that had been discounted, that had been cast aside. And our family began to serve in a big way on the front lines, in places that are dark, where stories are hard, where places you only read about in books and see on movies. But we fell in love with these people. We fell in love with their stories. And so, Marcus, one of the things that we began to do is, as we were serving the world in some of these places and helping, whether it was through building orphanages or schools or healthcare organizations or water wells or serving food in a food line or whatever it may be, you can become overwhelmed with the massive need in the world. At the time when we adopted our little boys, there was about 150 million orphans that were actually reported. 150 million. That's almost 50% of the United States population of kids that have just been cast aside, discounted, not even given a second thought. And so you can become overwhelmed by that and become paralyzed and think, well, what difference could I really make in making a discount in that? What can I really do to make an investment to truly make a difference? And what we felt called to do through and around all of that work and exposure to all of that, God shined a big spotlight on Uganda in particular. We fell in love with that culture and those people. And God clearly told me and my wife that the water in the ocean is made up of individual drops. And yeah, I may not be able to make a dent in the ocean and the massiveness of the water, but remember, Drew, it's made up of individual drops. And I have two boys that you may not be able to make a difference in all of that. Continue to do the good work that I've called you to do, but you can make a difference in two.
For sure.
You can make a difference in two. And so we felt called through and around those experiences to adopt two little boys, and we brought them into our family. And I'm so deeply thankful because of the impact that they've had on me as 100-fold of anything that I could have done for them. And we've continued to serve Uganda and other, namely Uganda is where we're mainly connected, but even other places that have been marginalized and cast aside as well.
That's so interesting. And John had kind of told me some of the parallels that we share. My wife and I also adopted two.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
And like you said, it's the impact that they've had on our life is way more powerful than anything that I feel like we can give them. They've given us so much without even realizing it, just being a part of the family. So,
amen.
So much respect to what you guys do over there.
Well,
I guess maybe we'll lighten it up a little. Talk to me a little bit about your trick shots.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What was the idea behind the original trick shot, and how did it kind of build from there?
Yeah. So fun story. I mean, this really does go back to my two sons. So they were in fourth grade at the time, and like most fourth graders, fell in love with Do Perfect, and watching them on YouTube. And we had moved into our new house, and our new house had a pool in the backyard, and we put a basketball goal around the pool. And so they had seen the trick shots of Do Perfect, and so they said, "Dad, hey, do you think you can make a shot from the diving board and jump in the water and make a shot?" And Coach, me being a shot taker, not always a shot maker, but I never seen a shot that I didn't like. I'll take a shot.
I know that feeling.
Not shy at all. I was like, absolutely. And they said, well, let's film it and we'll send it to our grandparents. And so on a summer day out in our backyard, I jumped off the diving board and I shot the shot, made the shot on the other end of the pool, and we sent it to our grandparents. And then I just posted it on Instagram and just on Facebook, and just for people to say, hey, look at what I was doing today with my kids in the backyard. Well, it got so much positive feedback and people loved seeing it. My boys jumped up and celebrated or whatever. We began that summer to do a shot of the day around the pool. Wow. Just having fun. It could be something so simple. Wasn't anything big.
Yeah.
Well, we finished that summer out, and I got a call from the CEO of the Omni Hotel here in Nashville.
Really?
And Todd Rodemel, who's an amazing man and one of my dear friends now because of trick shots, he said, Drew, my kids love your shots. I don't even know how we found you on social media, but I have an idea. Do you think you could make a shot off of our roof of our hotel in downtown Nashville, 19 stories, and make one on the ground? And I was like, once again, Coach, never met a shot I didn't like. I'll take a shot.
Yeah,
I may not make it, but I'm willing to look foolish. Let's try it. Let's see. Yeah. So we set it up. It became a huge media event that people started to hear about. Anyway, I'll fast forward the story. Shot the shot. It took us about 20 minutes. I made the shot. That shot went viral. We were on Good Morning America the next day. We were on other, national shows. ESPN Top 10 plays, just took on a life of its own. So the next year when I was doing my basketball camps, I've been partnered with Nike 17 years doing basketball camps. We began to do a shot of the week, and we were trying to break world records by the Harlem Globetrotters or Do Perfect. And that's when it really took off. It just went to a whole different level. When we started posting those videos, I mean, those stories, and it was on ESPN, and we were on the Ellen Show, and we were on America's Funniest Videos, and it just became so fun. But the genuine reaction of kids when that ball would go through the net, it's unlike any sort of energy source that you could create. It was so organic. It was so real. It was so beautiful. And so it became this thing that just became synonymous with our basketball camps that created a better experience for the kids.
For sure. I mean, we do something similar in our gym, and I could miss the shot 50 times in a row. But once the shot finally goes in, the kids just lose their mind.
It's the ultimate language of trying to gain their respect. So now they see that ball go through the net, they'll listen to anything you have to say. I mean, yeah. Coach Drew made the shot. They see you fail over and over again. What lessons? Yeah. And then you finally make it. You're making adjustments. You're being creative. You're being innovative. I mean, there's all sorts of life lessons that run in and through all of that storyline.
Tell me about these camps, these camps that you're talking about.
Yeah, so I partnered with Nike in 2008 here in Nashville. They were moving to a youth sport model, moving out of just being a product placement company and moving into youth sport service space. And so they were moving Nike basketball camps into bigger metropolitan areas. And Nashville, just once again, as fate would have it, we were one of the first 5 markets that embraced the Nike basketball camp model. And since that time, we just this will be a 17th year coming up. We've served over 30,000 kids. It's just become a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to serve kids and to be able to really create an experience that's life-giving, not only for skill development, but also for life development as well, because we do some incredible things in, through, and around the camp that really pushes those values and that value-based learning for those kids.
Beyond the game of basketball.
That's right. That's right.
In terms of basketball, when you're working on skill development with these kids, what skills do you think translate early on in development, and what kind of skills do you think take a little more time and experience to develop?
Are you talking about basketball skills? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So from a basketball perspective.
You're talking about tangible basketball skill development. Okay, got it. Okay. Want to make sure I understood the question clearly. Yeah. Here's the problem. And I don't know if you see this in your experience, and you have a vast experience in this as well. But, I started to notice just take this simple example of a visual and start driving through your neighborhood. I don't know where you live, Coach, but here in my neighborhood, we probably have, 70, 80 houses in this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I can drive down the roads in my neighborhood, and I could probably count 3 or 4 basketball goals in the driveway.
Yep.
When you and I were growing up, I would drive through my neighborhood, and I would say, I would think without exaggeration, 90+% of the homes had a basketball goal in their driveway. So just take that visual alone, and just start to play it towards skill development. Do kids spend time with a basketball and a goal by themselves as much as no? Do they spend time much less, whether it's a high intense workout of shooting, of ball handling, of any sort of hand-eye coordination things? Can they do it in absence of a trainer with them these days? The answer is no, I don't see it. No. And so it's concerning to me that when you look around the world and I see the skill development in Europe and other places, these kids are spending hours in the gym. They're spending hours with the basketball. They're held accountable by themselves. Yep. They can hold themselves accountable. And I don't see our youth doing that anymore. And it's concerning to me that if you or I aren't in the gym as coaches, they wouldn't even show up to the gym, where we used to place a rock in the door and try to figure out our way to get into the gym.
Oh, for sure.
So it's just something that so you can start to take that, and I could start to break down skill development as well, but just call it, do you spend time with the ball? Do you spend time in a gym? Gym time wins every single time.
Yes, sir.
And I've never seen it not win and not prove itself out. And so much less, correct footwork, correct shooting mechanics, ball handling, the ability to make sure ball security, ball safety, all of that stuff really starts with a great foundation of fundamental skill set. I don't see that in the game of basketball in terms of the way kids view development like we did when we were growing up.
For sure. And what I've noticed is, let's be honest, for our youth right now, it's kind of boring to do a lot of those things that they need to learn to build that foundation.
Yep.
And so they're a little reluctant to want to try it or want to learn it. They want to get straight to the 15 combo moves and what they're doing. And so, getting them to understand the importance and the value of why they should master this first at this entry level before you build on it. I've seen the struggle.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, I tell kids all the time, and it's easy for me to say, and it's hard for them to walk out because it's abnormal to not get bored with the basics. Like the basics stacked on top of one another will lead to the desired outcome that you hope for. But it's hard to stay disciplined in the basics. Sure. And just kids have a hard time. So to your point, You want to jump to the result. You want to jump to the outcome. You want to jump to the night that you score 24 points and go, 8 of 12 from the field on that given night. But did you put in the work that is directly proportionate to the desired outcome that you hope for? I see those being separated from one another. If I speak just generally speaking, now I hate to overgeneralize because there's always exceptions to the rule, clearly. But if I'm speaking in general about this youth generation being brought up, if they don't have a trainer, if it's not combo moves, if it's not, then there's an unwillingness to work on it.
I agree. And from a camp perspective, answer me this: what do you think? I feel like what I've noticed is, back in our time, camps were pretty elite. Some of the best players would go and attend these camps. I've noticed It's kind of been a drop off in attendance to a lot of these camps by some of the better, more talented.
Yeah. No doubt, because the investment has been placed in the travel basketball direction. And that's started earlier and earlier now. I don't know about, you guys in terms of your geographic area, but here in Middle Tennessee, travel basketball starts 3rd, 4th grade.
Yeah.
And so, our sweet spot of camps, if you looked at the bell curve we really start serving the population in 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. And, it kind of fades out in 9th grade, call it, when you get to high school. So the bell curve kind of grew really ages 5th to 7th grade. That was our sweet spot. Yeah. And to your point, you would have elite level players. But now those players are so focused on playing 100 games a year, they're not going to take the same time to come to a camp. So we shifted our mindset, and it really allowed us to really look at what we were teaching, to look at our skill development trees, to really look at how we were coaching coaches in the way that they taught fundamentals. Right. And it allowed us to really take a step back and really serve that middle class population, a basketball player, even better, because it didn't afford us the opportunity to jump ahead and do some more advanced type of things. It really allowed us to really get to that foundational level and to really do a great job of teaching those skills at a basic level.
Briefly talk about mentorship, and we all have had some sort of success in our life, and we don't get here on our own. How important is it to have people in your corner, people that you can call and rely on, and then to return that favor as well?
Yeah. No, Coach, I mean, that's life. And it's something I'm very intentional with. And in fact, here at Ashley Furniture, and I work with John can tell you about this, we teach a thing called the King's Table. And it's who's sitting at your table and how are they serving you. And so what we teach is the importance of first of all, every human being needs at least one sage. They need one person that is more experienced, that can depart wisdom, to your point, that mentor. And I want to be mentored. I want to be coached. I want to be taught. I still want to grow and develop. And I need people that have gone before me, that are on down the road a little bit further than me, that can impart that wisdom to me. So I have 2 sages that exist in my life, and we meet on a regular basis. And I still ask them questions because I have a thirst to get better as a father, as a husband, as a civic leader, as a businessman, whatever it may be. So everybody needs a sage. Number 2, everybody needs a peer that's equal, that can share contextually with what you're going through. So for us guys, I call it that every guy needs other kings in their life. And for girls, every girl needs other queens in their life. Somebody that I can get with Marcus, and he knows, basketball coach, roughly same age, roughly same kind of pressures and stresses and anxieties. We can relate to one another and really visit on that level with one another.
Yes, sir.
The third person that needs to sit at your table is you got to have lovers. David had Jonathan, and just somebody that they just love you for who you are. They're there to encourage you, to empower you, to be there for you as a word of support. And then the fourth piece, person that everybody needs at their table is you got to have other warriors. You got to have people that will fight for you, that you can count on, that you can send into battle. And that with 100% confidence, they have your back.
Always. And
so that's what we teach. So to your point, absolutely got to have a sage. You got to have mentors. I want to be mentored till the day I take my last breath.
Yes,
I want to continue to be drawn in that direction. You need to have other kings in your life. You need to have lovers, and you need to have warriors in your life.
That's perfect. That's a perfect explanation. Mm-hmm. Before I get you out of here, Shout out to Vanderbilt, man. They had a huge football win this season, didn't they?
Yeah, what about that?
Oh, wow. And the goalposts and the water and the whole deal. That
Yeah,
was wonderful. Did you do a little commentating for the basketball team?
I do. I do. So I work for the SEC Network. I'll do men's and women's games for Vanderbilt, maybe 25 this year. Yeah.
Okay.
And then other local colleges here. I do all the high school games on Friday nights in this market, and I'll do all the state championships.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah. So when I left Vanderbilt, I'd always been, interested in media and media training and broadcasting. So literally just by just the grace of God, right person, right time. I started doing games right when I graduated from Vanderbilt, like early. So I probably have done coach, hundreds, if not 1,000 games in my career.
No, that's awesome. It's something you're passionate about. It's a great pastime.
Yes. It keeps me in a gym nowadays since I'm not in them every day.
I saw a video the other day where you got a little mid-range pull-up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a men's league or what.
Why am I shooting a mid-range shot, by the way? What the heck was that?
Yeah. I
Take
told
what
John,
the defense gives you.
Hey, three-point line to three-point line these days. I don't need to run.
That's right.
Well, Drew, I appreciate your time. I know it's been a little bit of a scheduling conflict between the both of us, and we stay busy with our families and our lives, and priorities are priorities. But I do appreciate you taking the time to talk.
No doubt. Coach, always here. And I hope our next visit, there's not as much distance as us trying to make this happen. So let's make sure we stay connected. I'm here to serve you in any way that you ever need. I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, Marcus.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye, buddy.
It's called Coaching Connection.